So you ask yourself, what would it look like if you had a decentralized secure protocol bounded by energy, Bitcoin, the first ever decentralized secure protocol bounded by energy? What would it be pricing if you couldn't change it? And it would be pricing perfectly the global free market. So measured against Bitcoin, prices of everything are falling. It appears to be rising because people are converting Bitcoin to their piece of paper to then measure Bitcoin price. But if you actually realize what is happening is, my house was 300 Bitcoin 5 years ago, my house is 22 Bitcoin today. Energy prices are falling, all prices. And as long as Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, and when you really understand it, you know it will, it's the only thing that will, it will reprice everything else over time.
Yeah.
So we think in terms of technologies because we don't see protocols very often. There is only one internet.
Yep.
Right? You choose to be on it or you choose not to be on it. There is only one Bitcoin. You're going to be choosing to be on it or not be on it. And if you don't choose it, you're going to get repriced by it.
According to Jeff Booth, Bitcoin is our only hope as the storm approaches. The innovative IT entrepreneur and Bitcoin supporter dismantles the deteriorating underpinnings of our international monetary system in this stirring new interview. Booth cautions that the world is on the verge of a financial reckoning due to centralized control, manipulated interest rates, and exponential debt expansion. However, there is a solution, and Bitcoin is the first step. According to Booth, the stakes are higher than ever as sovereign governments and institutional behemoths like BlackRock start preparing for a post-dollar world. Bitcoin is developing into the foundation of a new, decentralized financial system, not just a hedge. With momentum rapidly increasing and prices pushing beyond $104,000, Booth explains why the next phase will be about survival rather than speculation. If you're intrigued by bold predictions and deep financial insights, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more engaging content. Thank you for your support and enjoy the video.
Take us through your thesis.
So the thesis is pretty simple, and I think most people can see this in themselves. The natural state of the free market is deflation. And we know that's true because we only use things that provide us more value, and an entrepreneur has to create more value to survive in the free market. So if we use things that give us more value, an entrepreneur has to create more value, then the output of that has to be deflation. In fact, what we're doing, what you're doing, is touching a whole bunch of people you couldn't touch with a one-man show right now because you can go direct because of technology. Yeah. So that's a massive productive force, and it's everywhere in our world. And so what that means is prices should be falling everywhere. If you live in a free market, they should be falling at that rate everywhere. And you should get richer and richer and richer, even if you didn't work, as other people work for you and the natural course flows. But we don't live in that market. We live in or most people don't, because they live in a credit-based system.
They think it's free.
Yeah, they think it. So in other words, think about this. We've never lived in a truly global free market. We've lived in a control system masquerading as a free market. And from the control system, because the control system is based on debt, and I'm not saying bad people on this, I'm saying a credit-based system can't allow deflation, because a credit-based system would collapse completely. So that credit-based system has to steal the money that should flow to you through deflation, plus inflation, to constantly create more monetary units to make you believe prices go up. And you're inside that system, and everybody's inside that system, making it stronger with all their actions. So you ask yourself, what would it look like if you had a decentralized secure protocol bounded by energy, Bitcoin, the first ever decentralized secure protocol bounded by energy? What would it be pricing if you couldn't change it? And it would be pricing perfectly the global free market. So measured against Bitcoin, prices of everything are falling. It appears to be rising because people are converting Bitcoin to their piece of paper to then measure Bitcoin price. But if you actually realize what is happening is, my house was 300 Bitcoin 5 years ago, my house is 22 Bitcoin today. Energy prices are falling, all prices. And as long as Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, and when you really understand it, you know it will, it's the only thing that will, it will reprice everything else over time.
Yeah.
And so what it would mean is it would be repricing this. And so the Bitcoin's IRR for the last 15 years is compounded annual growth rate is 45%. Yes, it's volatile, but that means if you're investing in houses and you have 8% return, you're losing 37% a year against Bitcoin. So, but you think you're winning because you're winning because somebody else is losing money against houses. So you think you're winning, but you're actually losing. And so why that's going to be chaotic is most people don't understand.
So that's rationalization of that.
It's a rationalization. Just like if you were in Argentina, people look at Argentina as they're currency got totally debased, going, why didn't they understand when they're doing the same thing in the US today?
Yeah.
And so
So they gotta get out of the system.
Bitcoin is the only thing that's decentralized and secure. And I'm saying I'm not crypto. I think, and it would get really confusing as well, because you wouldn't think protocols are winner take all. And the internet's a protocol, and they come in layers and add more functionalities. Technologies are the next technology beats the other technology, and winner take most. So we think in terms of technologies because we don't see protocols very often. There is only one internet.
Yep.
Right? You choose to be on it, or you choose not to be on it. There is only one Bitcoin. You're going to be choosing to be on it or not be on it. And if you don't choose it, you're going to get repriced by it. And it's developing in layers, and there's more and more functionality building in layers. In fact, at EgoDeath, that's what we're investing in. And we're investing in, and if you saw what was happening and the rate of growth all around the world, you'd be very inspired.
According to Jeff Booth, Bitcoin's journey is just getting started. He illustrates how far things have gone and how much bigger they are going to get by contrasting the early years of development with the present wave of interest and investment. Booth describes BlackRock's new entry into the Bitcoin market as a game changer that marks a significant change in the cryptocurrency market. He anticipates that the price of Bitcoin will rise sharply as more institutional money enters the market. Akin to the boom that occurred early last year, he highlights that this is a significant turning point in the global financial system, and that it is not simply about price. As governments, large organizations, and the media begin to accept Bitcoin, its long-term worth and potential to transform the economy are becoming increasingly apparent. To remain up to date on the most recent developments in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and the digital economy, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications.
True. If Bitcoin made a choice, or the design choices wouldn't allow it to scale on layer 1. That's what keeps it decentralized, secure, bounded by energy. But it couldn't scale 5 to 7 transactions per second. And so what people think now is, and then if you were just in this world and Bitcoin was repricing you, and it appeared to you everyone was getting rich in Bitcoin, but it was every 10 minutes just repricing the world, right? And it appeared to you, then it would make sense, I'm going to create a better Bitcoin. And the free market would there's 11 million coins right now. And there would always be new ones because we fall into a trap of a better thing, right? And so how do you create a better one? If you create a better one by centralizing, you have to ask yourself a pretty simple question. Why, if you're going to centralize, wouldn't you just use a database instead of a high-cost database? Right? You wouldn't use a blockchain to centralize. I know, but you wouldn't use a blockchain to centralize. So what ends up happening is Bitcoin then develops Lightning Network and Liquid and other layer 2s that right now, most people don't know this, touch 650 million people in the world that are transacting on Bitcoin all the time. 650 million, it's growing, layer 2 is growing faster than the internet was growing in the 90s. And people don't even realize that it does all these transactions.
A great concept. What's your thoughts on that developer angle side of it? And then we'll go into some examples where you're seeing some people today that you're funding.
So I reduce this down to first principles. And the decentralization security bounded by energy is the innovation. So if you and all of the other blockchains either have to lack security or be centralized. So the hack on the exchange with Ethereum, that they actually had a talk about rolling it back to take it back, tells you it's not decentralized. You couldn't do that with Bitcoin. There is nobody to roll it back.
It's no resilience.
So when somebody says
it's secure.
It's bounded by energy, it's secure.
You said bounded by energy. Describe that for the folks who heard that. What do you mean it's bounded by energy?
So because of proof of work on how it chases abundant energy and it sources, and you have to do the work to mine Bitcoin, find that holds it to energy, right? So it puts a floor of energy, which is actually our new operating system for the world. And so that bounded by energy, you can't change that.
Energy, you mean power?
I mean electricity, power, all of the compute that goes in. The way the compute works to mine this is the number one cost in mining Bitcoin is the energy. So it chases energy all over the world, low cost energy, to be able to make make the economics work in Bitcoin. And that further decentralizes it. And then the nodes that audit the rules make sure those rules are followed. So that bounds this thing to energy. Most people saw it as a store of value, but not a utility where they could create value, communication, and everything else. So this company created, on top of Bitcoin, another protocol called Fediment, that sits on top of Bitcoin is integrated to it using I won't get technical, but the simple thing is it provides privacy of communications, complete privacy of communications, and money inside a network that a community can own for themselves. And those communities are now growing all over the world, and it's tethered to Bitcoin, and they're growing so fast all over the world. Why? Because authoritarian dictators are rising in the world, and this gives the antidote to that.
And I like that confidence angle too, because when you have stability in protocols,
Yeah.
whether it's open, I believe open trusted networks is a big deal, open networks and protocols, open always wins, that's my philosophy, take it or leave it. I think everyone would agree with that. Then you could have confidence.
Exactly.
And so overthrowing a government, you got to have confidence.
Yeah.
You can't half-ass it. Otherwise you get, consequences are grave.
But imagine what happens in the overthrow. In these governments, they shut off your communications. They shut off your banking. That's how these dictators thrive. But if they can't shut off your communications, they can't shut off your banking because you're outside of that network, all of the power goes back to the people. Yeah. It removes the power from the
it takes all the middlemen out. It's a classic gatekeeper, middleman argument. Just the efficiency again. I'm biased on this because I believe it is happening. It's totally happening. It's going to continue.
According to Jeff Booth, the real uniqueness of Bitcoin is its decentralization and proof of work mechanism, which ties security to energy. Bitcoin is resilient because it cannot be changed or reversed, in contrast to other blockchains that are either centralized or less secure. He cites Ethereum's post-hack rollback as evidence that it wasn't really decentralized. A decentralized network of miners, on the other hand, powers Bitcoin and uses actual energy to keep it secure. Because Bitcoin is anchored to the real world by hardware, computing, and electricity, it is very difficult to control or manipulate. According to Booth, Bitcoin was intentionally created to maintain decentralization by not scaling on its foundational layer, Layer 1. Rather, scaling takes place on Layer 2 technologies and the Lightning Network, which are now allowing more than 650 million users globally to conduct swift and secret Bitcoin transactions. He also emphasizes how Fediment is assisting people in communicating and exchanging value without depending on institutions run by the government, particularly in totalitarian countries. Since tyrants frequently stifle dissent by shutting down banking and communication, Bitcoin and its Layer 2 tools provide protection and freedom, enabling people to remain connected and engage in the economy even in the face of repressive governance. Lastly, Booth clarifies that as Bitcoin keeps increasing, it isn't growing more costly. Rather, everything else is being repriced lower when expressed in Bitcoin. For example, a house that used to cost 300 BTC now costs 22 BTC. Over time, as Bitcoin remains decentralized and secure, it will gradually reprice the global economy and restore purchasing power to individuals. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications if you thought his viewpoint was helpful so you don't miss any updates. We'd love to know what you think about the future of cryptocurrency markets, so please share your ideas in the comments section. We appreciate your time and hope to see you in the next video.